Chiliz is in a very interesting spot right now. In this video, we're going to talk about statistics you probably haven't seen yet before. For example, the number of holders over time or the relative valuation to Ethereum. We're also going to talk about supply or inflation or the lack thereof. Is Chiliz at this moment in time a good investment? That's in the end the big question. And I can't fully answer this, but I can give additional information, things that might complete the picture for you, that might help you make that decision. Now, this is the standard chart you've probably seen in this way or another on other channels. This is simply the Chiliz chart versus the US dollar. And we've seen quite a bit of a rally at the end of 2020. So that's a 13,500% rally. And since then, Chiliz didn't do too well, right? In US dollar terms, it rather went down. But it's always important to look at relative valuation because crypto in general went down. This is Bitcoin, for example, right? So why do you even consider investing in Chiliz, right? Why do you go down this list of altcoins and potentially get involved into an asset that's at market rank 44? That's way smaller than, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum. The reason you do this is because you're expecting outperformance. A smaller asset tends to mean more risk, but hopefully that also tends to mean more reward or more performance. So let's look at that. Let's look at Chiliz relative to Bitcoin. That's the chart starting in September of 2019. And again, we can see here this massive rally. We can also see underperformance since that rally, but different to the US dollar chart, where simply just in a continued downtrend. Once we look at this relative to Bitcoin, this doesn't look as bad, right? Since May of this year, we actually outperformed Bitcoin by quite a bit, by almost 200%. What about the relative performance to Ethereum? Pretty much the same thing. An outperformance since May. For Ethereum, it's 160%. So where does this outperformance come from? Of course, on the one hand, we've got potentially new eyeballs again on sports betting and on investing into anything football related. On the other hand, we can also see that this outperformance isn't just a recent development, right? So again, Bitcoin and Chiliz, or Chiliz denominated in Bitcoin, a 10x outperformance since launch, and Chiliz versus Ethereum, an outperformance of 150%. Where does this come from? Now, there are contradicting pieces of information here, and it would be interesting to see what you guys think about this or what kind of explanation you have for this. So when we look at the circulating supply here for Chiliz, we can see 6 billion CHZ tokens are currently circulating, which is 68% of total supply. So in other words, it says there might be some kind of token inflation coming up in the future, right? Max supply is at a bit under 9 billion. Currently 6 billion are circulating. So this additional supply hitting the market could have some kind of negative impact on the price. But on the other hand, when we look at, for example, Messari.io and we look at the supply schedule in order to figure out when does the supply actually hit the market, we see the Chiliz token generation was executed via private placement only and completed in 2018 with its hard cap reached. No more tokens will be generated. And then there is a burn mechanism over here. So I've yet to find out where the delta is coming from, what's actually going on with those 2.9 billion roughly of remaining Chiliz tokens. Are they going to hit the market? And if yes, in what kind of context? So in other words, we don't have any official inflation rate. We simply just see circulating supply. And these circulating supply numbers, they are also not 100% aligned. So when we go to Etherscan, we see the max supply. So that's okay. That's our 8.9 billion. When we go to the circulating supply according to CoinMarketCap, we got our 6 billion. When we go to the circulating supply according to Messari.io, that's 5.3 billion. So what's now the real number here? That's the big question. So if you have a resolution to this somewhat confusing, inconsistent data, feel free to comment this below. It might help us all out. If nothing will hit the market anymore, and if we are really just stable at the current circulating supply, this is of course a pretty good reason for an outperformance. Now, I've also looked at June analytics, and I've got a little analysis board, and over here we can just look at the token mint, and the token mint is at the official number at 8.9 billion. So there are no new tokens being minted. The only question is, are there new tokens that potentially are not yet circulating, where maybe some kind of stakeholders get some unlock, or what's actually going on with those tokens between those 5.3 billion and the 8.9 billion. Let's assume for now that the circulating supply is really completely stable, and let's not really get caught up in how high that level is. Is this now 5.3 or is this now 6.0? What's actually now circulating? It seems to be somewhat stable. What's then important is to look at the momentum around this. So are there actually more investors getting into Chiliz? And I really like these token holder development charts over time. And the reason I like them so much is because they are way less volatile than the price charts, right? Price charts are very erratic. They go up and down. Volatility is really strong. And so it's pretty hard to really find out, is this a token where the demand and supply dynamics over the long term will be in your favor? So looking at the number of holders, we can see basically what the masses are doing. We are pretty much ignoring now the whale action or the trading bots that might be trading correlation across different assets, etc. We are simply just looking at number of holders. And this is encouraging. I put in a minimum number of tokens in this calculation. So I said at least 5 tokens need to be held. So that's basically $1. The reason I do this is in order to ignore all these wallets that have like 1 cent or so of the token that maybe have some kind of residual because they didn't enter all the decimals during a sale process or something. So I do want to still have some kind of a threshold, and for the number of holders that have at least $1 invested into the Chiliz token, we're now looking at 145,000 wallets. So this is quite large. This is definitely massive for an altcoin, especially considering it's at market rank 44. So we can pretty much say that the Chiliz ownership is quite distributed. It's not just in the hands of a few whales. It's bought by a lot of smaller retail, and we can also see that this is still pretty constantly growing. Now that's why the question here is so important. Is there some kind of circulating supply that's going to increase over time? Because if it's not, then this is very bullish, right? Simply seeing the number of holders within less than a year going from 120k to 145k, so this is maybe 10 months, right? 145 divided by 120. In a bear market, in like 10 months, the number of holders went up by 21%. This is very bullish if circulating supply doesn't change, because this could easily mean an outperformance of more than that, right? It would mean once, say, 20% of additional capital hits this liquidity pool, the price might go up even by 30% or so, right? There's some kind of leverage effect here. So I really like this chart. When you look at other altcoins and you check out the number of holders over time, you very often see that it really plateaus, that it's not growing anymore. You even see sometimes the holders shrinking over time because money is flowing simply to another hype coin of the day. And what we can also see is that even though we might anticipate now increased attention on soccer in general in the next months, we don't yet see this in form of an accelerated growth curve, right? The growth is pretty much stable in the last months. So no crazy attention on this yet. So this chart here, right? The US dollar chart with this resistance over here, it might actually be too cautious of a view on things. Because versus Bitcoin, Chiliz is already outperforming for the last 5 months, versus Ethereum obviously as well. The number of holders is increasing relatively nicely. And in case I don't misinterpret this, we are currently basically just seeing burning. We are not seeing increased liquid supply. So this all looks surprisingly positive in my point of view. Now, I do want to still show something that you might want to have on your radar here. There are these fan tokens, right? For example, the Inter token or the Gala token, and there's quite a bit of volatility here. They also crash during crypto winter, of course, and go up when things are a bit better. The nicer way way than looking at this in terms of US dollars is to look at this either versus Ethereum. Okay, so that's that chart. So quite a bit of a trading range here. But what you might actually want to do is to look at this relative to Chiliz. And we see here that the performance is not necessarily great, right? 40% underperformance versus Chiliz. And for Ethereum, also an underperformance, currently 20%. Let's also look at Gala, not that different. So Gala versus Ethereum, an underperformance of 50%. And Gala versus Chiliz, an underperformance of 60%. So in other words, if you're not just a fan of a particular football club and you don't really care about the money, you actually want to make profit with your bets, I'd probably stick with the native Chiliz token. Chiliz is doing relatively well. The additional risk did get compensated in the past and it might continue to get compensated in the future. Unless you're gambling, I'd probably rather stay away from those fan tokens and simply just bet on the asset that continues to get adoption. Now, the reason I discussed Chiliz in this video is because it was requested by one of our premium members. So there is a premium chat, a premium Telegram chat, where you can ask me any questions, where I can do back testing on different assets, where I can do analysis on whatever asset you like. And if you'd like to join that, feel free to check out thebitcoinstrategy.com. It's currently $75 per month, or alternatively, you can sign up for the whole year, getting 2 months for free. More information about this premium membership is in this video over here. Hope to see you in that video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.